What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in today. And I have a super important conversation that I want to have with you guys about manifesting. And these are the tips and tricks and little nuggets that I wish I would have realized a lot sooner in my journey. And I just want to share them in hopes that this will help in your journey in whatever it is that you're looking to achieve, whether that is a new business, whether that is a new relationship, whether that's something that you are just looking to maybe manifest in like a travel or something that you feel like is going to just help you in whatever it is that your goals are. So with that being said, grab some snacks, grab a notebook, and let's dive deep into this conversation because definitely it's going to be a good one. Now, with that being said, manifestation, we are constantly doing this, okay? And I feel like I was a lot of people for the longest time. I would see manifestation as this like taboo thing. Like these people like are talking about you being able to bring something into existence with your thoughts. Like these people are definitely crazy. I don't know who and what they got, but definitely go check yourself. And the reason for that is because nobody had ever taken the time to explain it. Coming from the background that I came from, very lack mentality, very just a struggling background, right? Poverty, having mindsets that were very limiting. It was not believed that you could just simply think into abundance and have a completely different life. That just was not normal. So when I really started manifesting in a unconscious way, I really didn't think much of it. I just thought like what's happening? Why are things like working out? And I feel like when I would question it, it would kind of like get at a standstill, if that makes sense. So in order for you to manifest something, and I think that this is very important, you need to understand what manifesting is. Manifesting in the simplest of terms, because it can get very, very convoluted by perspectives and people that want to share their opinion. I'm going to share with you also mine, but I'm going to make it very simple. And it's just thoughts that you're constantly putting energy into. That is manifesting. Whether you're manifesting something positive or something negative, you are manifesting. A lot of people think manifesting is this thing that kind of, again, like I said, a taboo subject where you're doing something evil and you're bringing a negative energy. The reality is that we have been placed in this planet with freedom of will. Like we have the actual ability as a species to have freedom of choice. That's the reality. Now, what we do with it is really what we decide to do based on what we've learned, based on what we believe to be normal or something that is just unorthodox and something that we just cannot actually comprehend. Therefore, we label it as wrong or we label it as, just not something we do, you name it. Now, when you're manifesting and you understand what manifesting is, in the basic term, you're thinking and you're putting energy into these thoughts. And think about it for a second before we get into the tips that I want to share with you. When you're driving and you're going down the highway and somebody cuts you off, what is your first reaction? Like, I want you to really just be honest. And if you're the person that's very calm, then kudos to you. But I know that was not me for the longest time. I would be the type of person that if they cut me off, I was literally in my mind, saying everything under the sun that was just not the best, right? It was a negative energy, whether it was, I can't believe they just cut me off and I want to catch up to them and I want to cut them off, the whole shebang. Now, what that does, it feeds into a negative energy. You are allowing that momentary situation to take control over what it is that you are feeling, because maybe you were completely happy. You could have had the best day ever. I just had in the background, the SpongeBob movie where they're like, it's the best day ever. Sorry, I'm a little random, but I just kind of that. Okay. Anyways, back to the point. So you could have been having the best day and literally somebody cuts you off. And in your mind, you associate that with an attack toward you. And now you're mad. And now you're like, oh, no. That's just not okay. So you take it upon yourself to make it personal. And your energy now is depleted because you gave energy to that situation. Think about this as well. If you're driving and you're looking at the trees that are passing by, if you have trees where you're from, maybe you're just looking at the buildings, right? Because where I'm from, we don't have that many trees by the highway. But if you're fortunate enough to have a lot of trees by your highway, then you can use that example. But if not, whatever you're looking at as you're passing by, you don't get consumed by that building being a certain color. You don't get consumed by that color being a certain way, unless there is a feeling attached to that based off a situation you've encountered. Let's say the car looks like the car of your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. It's going to make you think of an event. Therefore, it can either bring you into a infinite bliss, or maybe if they're your ex, you're not in the best headspace and maybe now you're sad, right? What we choose to give meaning to is all that we're putting attention to. That is the most basic way that I can explain it to you. So when you're manifesting things, if you think about it, you're constantly putting energy into whatever it is you're thinking about. So for me, when I started really growing my business and really just seeing the results, I remember I was very committed to saying, I am going to grow in real estate. Like, this is my time to shine, and I want to grow something, and I want to provide a better lifestyle for my family, meanwhile helping people. Because again, this is something you want to remember. You need to do these things with a lot of intention. If you're putting an intention out there that is not necessarily in the best and truest self-fulfilling help concept that you could provide to somebody else, in layman's terms, just when you're doing it out of actually wanting to help, right? Not making it out of like, what can I get, versus actually just saying, hey, I'm going to help. Therefore, I know that by helping and genuinely helping somebody, that is just going to come back to me, because that's just the laws of the universe. That's just the law of vibration, the law of attraction, the law of polarity. It's all these things that are like in constant effect, that are constantly happening. So for me, when I was really set on wanting to help somebody and knowing that because of the help that I was going to provide, I was going to get a monetary return on that, it really pushed me to believe that I could actually do something that I had never done before. And a lot of times people think like, oh, I've never done this, therefore I'm incapable of doing it. Think about it. Like, you didn't know how to walk, but you learned. You didn't know how to drive, but you learned. You didn't know how to buy things online, but you learned. There's so many things that at one point you were incapable of doing, but you decided, you made a choice in your mind, and you sat there and you said, you know what, I'm going to do this. And this is going to be something that is going to help me become a better version of me. So when that journey really began for me, I realized that subconsciously I was just believing in myself. Things that I had never believed in myself for in the past, because I was very prone to self-sabotaging behavior and just not thinking that I was worthy at one point in my life, that this like neural pathway really had to get conditioned to these new thoughts. But it was just in this point in my life, it was just about real estate. I wasn't thinking like this in everything else in my life. It was just real estate related. So when I really saw my breaking point and really like just completely surpassed, and for an example, because as we all know, the proof is in the pudding. And if you're telling me about something, that's cool. But if you're showing me and telling me like really attainable things, then that also helps me understand a little bit better. But for me, I always wanted to make over 6 figures, because coming from where I come from, like that's like unordinary. I don't know where you're from, but for maybe some of you, that's like, oh, normal. You've seen it your whole life, and $100,000, people that are generating that maybe a month, and that's amazing. But for me, that's not where I came from. So my goal was to make over $100,000 a year. I was coming from making $12,000, $12,000 to $16,000, depending on the time. And that was it. And I had a son to look after. So I really wanted to grow. Therefore, I made a clear decision. I decided I wanted to provide a better life for him. And this is why I say manifestation. If you're doing it unconsciously, this is where it can have control over you, because you don't know where you're putting your energy. I could have decided, oh, poor me, I came from literally living in a storage with my grandparents. Like, I can't have this lifestyle. But no, I said, you know what, because I had these situations happen to me, I know what it's like to not have this. So therefore, I want to do something and build something for me. So when that happened, I was unconsciously actually manifesting a better opportunity. My first year in real estate was super hard. My second year, it just completely pivoted. I remember all the work, it was kind of like a snowball effect. All the work that I put in on my first year just completely took off on my second year and the third year and the fourth year. And it just snowballed into constantly generating over 6 figures. This is going into 2024. I'm very excited because I am now growing a larger agency where I'm going to teach more agents how to do what I've done. And I don't want it to be some hierarchy where it's like, I'm the boss and you're the employee. No, we're growing together. We're growing a community and we're helping each other by collaborating and growing with each other. And I'm really excited because I know for a fact I'm going to surpass the goal that I have. And definitely stay tuned for that because I want to share all the aha moments that process will bring. But this is why I say being very concise on whatever it is you're looking to manifest is so important. So that is going to be my number one tip for you, having a clear vision. If you can have a clear vision with what you want, you know where you're looking to go. You're not going to get into your car and expect the GPS just to know where you want to go, right? You need to enter the actual address for where you're going in order for you to get to your destination. So by you becoming very clear and concise, writing it down. This is why people believe in vision boards. I used to be one of those people that didn't really understand, like, why do you want me to put a vision board? Like, that makes no sense. Why would I want to put it in a freaking paper like that? Why? But because you're bringing clarity. And if you can picture all of this, because eventually at one point you'll be able to just picture things in your mind and you see them so vividly that you can smell the smells in that moment. You can see the things that you're wearing in that moment, the cars that are passing by. Up until that point, just put it on a vision board so that you can have that clear image in your mind that is just going to be a constant reminder into your 5D, which is the fifth dimension. We're in the 3D dimension. So essentially that's a whole other conversation, but just again, this is something that I find very useful to understand. This is our 3D matter, and we want to bring it from this level of our consciousness, right? Our higher consciousness, our higher self. Now, number 2, and this is very important, act with gratitude. And this is what I mean when I say act with gratitude, okay? So for a lot of us, and I, again, want to share examples with you, but for the longest time, I didn't really understand how somebody could be thankful for something that they didn't have, right? It's like, how do you want me to be thankful if I don't have the money? How do you want me to be thankful if I don't have X, Y, and Z? You need to work with becoming thankful for something that you do have. The fact that you can see this video right now, the fact that you can hear this audio, the fact that you are able to have internet, these are small things but are huge for somebody else. And by you learning to be grateful for what you have, this is going to actually tap into a different frequency. You see, when people are constantly thinking about all the negative things that are happening in their life doesn't think, hey, they're complaining about money. So they actually want money, even though they're complaining about the fact that they don't have money. Oh, I'm going to give it money. It doesn't work that way. You need to be very grateful for the abundance that you already have. Whether that abundance isn't yet where you want it to be, you need to understand that you are literally, we are all one. We're all connected. And by you understanding that by becoming nothing, you are everything. By being nowhere, you are everywhere. By being nothing, you are everything. And this just allows you to have this like level of consciousness that you're just knowing that everything is going to come into fruition. There's baby steps to get to that point. I hear you, because when people would say that, I'd be like, okay, this person's crazy. I don't understand how they're telling me that I'm everything. Like, I am me, I am Alexa. Like, what are you talking about? But this is why I say it comes with gradual steps. The neural pathways that you are building right now by simply believing in a different perspective, that's already helping you in this journey. Being grateful, and I'll give you a quick story time. So on the 19th of December, 2023, whenever you're watching this video, I decided that day, I was like, you know what? I am ready to grow my team. I have 5 agents right now but I want to grow my team, and I want to have more people that are in alignment with what it is that I'm building, what it is that my vision is, so that I can help them execute their vision. And in turn, we're growing this amazing business that is helping people, and in turn we're helping ourselves. Because a lot of people, sometimes they think, oh, in real estate the agent just cares about themselves. That's not true. And I'm telling you this from experience, because yes, I have lived with people and seen with people that have just cared about themselves in the transaction, but then I've also dealt with some beautiful souls that literally will walk away with no commission because they want to get that person into their home. So I wanted to add that as a quick note, because sometimes we just judge everybody under like this scope based on whatever experience you've had in your life that has happened. And it just brings negativity to you. It's just not something useful. So when I made that decision, I said, you know what? I'm going to find an office. And I kid you not, that day I sat there. I was like, okay, I'm going to look for an office. I went online and I saw this office that looked perfect. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so cute. It was like the upgrades that I wanted, the colors, just my vibe. And if you know me, you know I like black and white colors. This is like my vibe. I love black and white. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. I acted in the assumption that I had this office. I literally told myself, I pulled out my phone and I did like a little personal vlog, and I was like, I am finding my office today. I am so thankful for the fact that I found the perfect office. Everything's going to align. I know I'm going to grow my agency exactly to where I want it. I'm going to grow over 30 agents this year, and I'm going to be able to help them, and we're going to help each other. I did my whole video, right? I got so emotional. I was just happy. I was just like, I was in awe. And mind you, I have not yet even seen the office. I hadn't even figured out how much the office was going to be. None of that. I was just being thankful for the fact that I had already found my office. So I went, and when I went to go see the office, I had 2 offices in that building that I was comparing. I didn't even know there was 2, but the lady, super sweet, she tells me, hey, well, there's this one, but on January 1st, there's somebody that's going to move out. They're architects, they're leaving, they need a bigger space, but this is actually one of the biggest offices here in our location. And I was like, okay, let me see it. So I go in. I literally fall in love with the office. It has like the space I needed. It had the views that I wanted. I'm up at the top. It was just like giving me the vibe of everything that I wanted. But here's the thing. Your paradigm, which is events that have happened in your life that are going to almost have exclusive control over your habitual behavior, meaning like the habits that you typically are used to. I was like, okay, I'm going to think about it. Thank you. I'll get back to you. And I came back home. And I bring up the paradigm because I wanted to self-sabotage myself without realizing it. I think in a way I was realizing it, but I wanted to test my own theories, right? Because I'm really into like wanting to like, okay, like let me just make sure. And I pulled out a penny and I literally tossed it. And before I did, I was like, if heads comes out, then I don't move forward and I wait until maybe another office comes out that's maybe a little bit more affordable. I was like, or if tails comes out, I move forward with the office. So I tossed the penny up, and you probably guessed it, tails comes out. And I was like, okay, I guess we're doing it. And then I tried to like downplay it, right? And I was like, okay, well, if tails comes out this time, I will go for the smaller one. And if heads comes out, I will go for the bigger office. So I toss it up. And sure enough, heads comes out. So I was like, oh my gosh, like really? So I'm like laughing, right? I'm like, okay. And I have this like moment in my life where I've realized that I'm just like thankful and I go with the flow for things that are happening, because you have to take inspired action, feeling in your gut that it's the right time. So I was like, okay, we're doing it. In the morning, I try and confirm one more time, little self-sabotage, right? And if for those of you that don't know, I take care of my grandmother and my grandfather. They live with me. And I see my grandma in the morning and I was like, uno o dos. And for those of you that don't know Spanish, that means 1 or 2. So she already knows that when I get into my manifestations, like she's like, okay, like what are you manifesting now? Like what are we doing, right? So she tells me, she's like, ¿para qué? And I was like, no, uno o dos. And then she's like, dos. And 2 was supposed to be for me to move forward for sure with the bigger office, or 1 with the smaller office. And sure enough, she says 2. So I was like, okay, I get it, universe. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. So on the 22nd, I went, which today is the 23rd. On the 22nd, yesterday, I went and I signed the lease on my office, and I am so excited. And this is why I say that you need to act in the wish fulfilled, because the point of this story is that when you are a restaurant owner, you're not going to sit there and say, I want to get my restaurant and I want to first get the customers, and then I'll hire the cook, and then I'll hire the waitress, and then I'll go and buy the cashiers that I need, and then I'll go and get the food. No, you build the restaurant, you get everything that you need, and you just act in the assumption that people are going to love the service that you're going to give them, and they're going to keep coming. So whatever you're doing in your life, being in a state of gratitude and appreciating what you already have is so pivotal. If you can get very clear on your intention and you can be grateful, you're already on your way to the races. This is so important in any manifestation journey because, again, we're constantly manifesting. The average brain is going to have over 70,000 thoughts that are going through your brain. Think about that. 70,000 thoughts. From the moment that I just said, think about that, you already asked yourself a question, and then you probably followed up with another question, and then you followed up with another question. We're constantly manifesting. So the choice is yours, whether you want to manifest something positive or you want to manifest something negative. We have freedom to choose. Now, the third manifestation tip that I'm going to provide to you is going to be ensuring that you're making time to care for yourself, that you're making time to be in your energy. I feel a lot of us, we're just so consumed by like the constant hustle and bustle of life and everything that's going on that we forget to make time for you. You matter. You cannot love somebody else. You cannot care for somebody else. You cannot be there for somebody else if you're not there for yourself. And honestly, guys, that took so much from me at one point because I was like, no, like, I got this. I was already in my manifestation journey, and I was at a point where I was like already generating over 6 figures, but I wasn't taking time to really like take care of me. Like I was going to the gym, I was eating quote unquote healthy, but I was really like pushing my limits. And literally one day I went to the gym and I was tired, like I was sleep deprived. I was really, really tired already. And I kept pushing myself because I usually go to the gym at night because it just works with my schedule. So I usually go like around like 11 in the night, and then I'll be done by like 1 in the morning. And that's just like the commitment side of me. Like I'm just really set on doing it because I have 2 boys. So it just works with my schedule. Okay. And I know some people are like, it's better to go in the morning. Yes, it is. But again, you have to do the best you can with what you have for now. So I was making that work. However, I wasn't listening to my body, and my body was asking me for sleep. My body was telling me like, Alexa, you need to like just relax and like, let's take it down a notch and let's like sleep for a bit. But I was not. And the next morning I kid you not, I could not get out of bed. I had the worst back pain that I have ever experienced. I mean, not even having my kids like made me feel that way, like that extreme. I could not get out. I was literally like in pain. Like I was like crying and yelling and the whole thing, like very, very dramatic. But it was really, really, really hurting me. And my grandmother was like super worried and like the whole thing. And my uncle, he lives in Ohio, and he like served in the military, and he was like a doctor over there. Now he has his own thing going on and other things, and she calls him. She's like this is happening, typical grandma, just trying to like figure out what she can possibly do to help me. And me, I'm like a holistic junkie, so I don't really like to go and put myself under medications if I can avoid it. So I'm a firm believer of your thoughts. I'm a firm believer. If you have not read Dr. Joe Dispenza's book that is called Becoming Supernatural, Highly recommend that book. That is an amazing, amazing book. And I think in one of my last videos, I briefly talked about one of the stories of a lady that had a complete like remission on her cancer journey, and she completely was able to heal herself by listening to her body and doing meditations and, you know, actually living a different lifestyle by first within. So anyways, I did not want to go to the doctor. I just knew that at that moment I had to take time for myself. I had to take time to basically just relax and come back to my full energized self. And I did that. And I did not take any medications. I was able to, I'm not gonna lie, I took one Advil because they brought me one and they forced me to take one. And other than that, I felt horrible. Like I literally felt worse taking it. So I was like, no, like don't give me any more. And that was it. And when that happened, when that happened, literally I went, and after this, like, again, I went on this whole week, literally a whole week of just staying there in bed. And after the week, I was able to just start walking again. I felt normal because I listened to my body. And this is what I mean. If you're not taking the time to listen to your body, if you're not taking the time to take care of yourself, it doesn't matter how much gratitude you're in. It doesn't matter how many visualizations you have, but you're not taking care of yourself, which is a key component. I have a friend that tells me, like, I feel really guilty taking time to buy myself something when I could give it to my son. I feel really guilty doing something for me when I could do it for my son. And I hear you, because especially like being a parent, you want to do the best you can for your kids. I totally get that. But remind yourself that you cannot care and love somebody else if you're not doing that for yourself. And you're not going to be of any service to them if you're no longer here because you didn't take care of yourself. So it's super important that you prioritize your health, your you time, your self-care time. Go and take that massage. Go and take that stroll in the park. Go and connect with nature. Do something that's going to help you feel fulfilled. Because if not, no external thing is going to bring you that fulfillment. And this is going to lead to my next point in your manifestation journey, which is going to be number 4. Everything is connected. Everything is connected in life. And that's why I said, read Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, because it is amazing. And he just articulates everything in such a profound perspective. But everything is one, okay? Everything from this lamp to the desk to your phone or wherever you're watching this, they carry a frequency, and they came from somebody's thought. They came from a dream. Dreams are simply a thought, but energy brings them to life. So when you really realize that, people have been called crazy for certain things that they've dreamed about. They've been from Alan Watts to, Nikola Tesla to, the brothers for the airplane that they wanted to actually create this like flying piece of metal that flies around, and they were going to get somewhere else. Like, they were looked at as crazy, right? But the reality is that everything that is now started with our thoughts. So when you are in this journey, ensure that you remind yourself of that, because the moment that you distinguish yourself and you set yourself aside from that higher version of you, you're pushing yourself further in your manifestation journey. And this leads to my point number 5, which is going to be, don't be envious of others. Don't be envious of what others have. And I know that as humans, because I love reading psychology, because I get to understand a little bit more about how we think and how we process certain things and why we're triggered by certain things. But the reality is, just because psychology says like we're always going to be jealous does not mean that's the case. That's what they're deeming to be the truth based off their paradigm, based off what beliefs they've actually seen with people, because that's all they've come to allow to be their truth. But if you think about it, why am I going to be jealous of somebody that is doing amazing things when in reality, I would rather have 5 successful people in my network than 5 people that just want to take advantage of me? Why would I feel jealous of somebody doing something great when I can learn from them? You see, people that are doing the best things in life, they want to help others succeed. They want more people to realize that there's more than enough for everybody. So when you're jealous, you're putting yourself in a very low frequency, and it's not healthy for you. It's like when you see somebody's video and you're like, oh, that video was amazing, which by the way, if you like this video, show some love. But sometimes you watch somebody's video and you don't like it, even though you agreed with everything they said. And this is a quick example because, we've all been on TikTok or on a reel or whatever. But you're like, maybe in a subconscious level, you're like, oh, I'm not going to like it because that guy, maybe you're a guy and you're watching another guy. You're like, I don't want this guy to think something about me. Or there's a girl and you don't want that girl to feel good about herself and feel more good about maybe how she's doing in life. Or maybe you feel like you don't want to look like a stalker. You're liking their videos. There's so many things that some people just come up with. And it's like, no, just show love. Because when you show love, love comes back to you in one way or another. Whether it's monetary, whether it's by joy, whether it's by love, whether it's by a new relationship you can embark on, there's so many things that just come back when you're showing that love versus being in a negative state. Sometimes there's times where I'm very careful with what I like on my algorithm because I want to make sure I keep showing, I get more of that stuff, right? And there's this infinite amount of knowledge that you could just learn from individuals that are just putting content out there that are wanting to share with the world. But because of our paradigm, a lot of us, and I was a lot of us, I would think why is it that they have a course? Why don't they just give this for free? And it's crazy enough because a lot of the times people actually are giving stuff for free, but people don't see the value in things that are given for free. Therefore, they put together a course where it goes a little bit more in depth to actually sell you on that course because you now have actually decided to invest in it. And the monetary exchange that now you're having with providing that monetary exchange for that content creator is now going to allow you to actually appreciate it and actually implement it versus somebody just sharing it to you right now. Or if you met them at a cafe and them telling you this, but because you didn't pay for it, you think that there's no value in that. So how you're looking at things is very important. And showing love for others is so pivotal in this manifestation journey. When somebody tells me that they're doing something, I'm like, that is amazing. I'm so proud of you. And I mean it. If you meet me in person, this is just the type of person I am. I'm not like this with everybody because I'm very careful with protecting my energy, but with people that I see that we have the same frequency, I want to conversate with them and I just want to learn from them. And I want for them to ask me questions that I can learn from. I met a client not too long ago and she was just so beautiful. She's like, oh my gosh, I watch all your videos and I just love you. And I was like, oh my gosh, you made my day. Because she was just showing love. And she knows that when you are putting that love, she's getting that love back. So just being honestly, just paying it forward. Okay. And lastly, I want to show you a quick example and I'll have on the screen so you can see it a little bit better. But this essentially is you. Okay. So this is you. These are your thoughts. These are your beliefs and these are your feelings. This is going to be the state that you are constantly feeling. Okay. And right here. Okay. Now, when you're having these thoughts, what happens is that you're creating a frequency. Okay. This is you. This is the frequency. These are your beliefs. This is what makes your paradigm. Situations that have happened in your life, things that you've been through. Okay. People that have said certain things to you, people that have made you feel a certain way, the whole nine. Now, whenever something happens in life, you're thinking, let's say something negative, and then something negative happens. You're like, you see, I told you that was going to happen. You manifested that. And you might say, you're telling me that I manifested everything negative in my life. There's certain things that are just meant to be a lesson for you. Okay. I have had some very hard things happen to me in my life. Trust me. But now looking back at them, I know they were a lesson and they taught me not only resiliency, but grace to show to others. So if you can adopt that perspective instead of just being the victim in your story, I promise you it's going to do you so much good. So by believing in these items that have happened in your life and believing that you, again, just had something happen to you, you're now putting yourself in a situation where you are vibrating at a lower frequency. Now, then, and there's a beautiful quote that I'm going to read to you by Mr. C.J. Young. And it says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it faith. And just think about that for a second. How many things have you had in your life that have happened that you were like, well, this is just the way it is in my life. This is just how my family is, and this is just what I've been living with my whole life, and this is normal. Until you decide to make the unconscious conscious, you will always have things happen in your life and you're just going to call it fate. But the reality is that you get to create your destiny, okay? No matter what you've gone through, you get to create a completely different reality. These beliefs, you can start reconditioning them. You can start putting out a different frequency. And the gratitude state that I just shared with you is so important in this journey. By you doing that, you can change your desired outcome. And what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes and really envision what that future self of you looks like. What are they wearing? What do they smell like? What house do they live in? What community events to pay it back do they do? What do you believe that they would believe is something that they can achieve? Because think about it, your higher version of you wouldn't have these limiting beliefs. Your higher version of you wouldn't say, you're not worthy of making this much money. So I want you to really tap into that higher version of you. And I want you to ask, if you could give yourself advice from that higher point of view, what would it tell you? Would it tell you to stay where you're at, or would it tell you to go for it? Would it tell you to move forward and believe? I'm going to leave you with this last quote. It's by Alan Watts, and it says, I have realized that the past and the future are real illusions, that they exist in the present, which is what there is and all there is. The present, there's a reason why it's called the present. It's a present for you. You get to manifest whatever you want. The choice is yours. It really is. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because coming from a person that was a Debbie Downer to seeing life the way I see it now, I know that anybody can truly rewrite their story, design and be the architect of their true story, what they want. The sky is not the limit. A lot of people say the sky's the limit. It's far beyond that. And you get to be the creator of it. You are the co-creator. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it to this point in the video, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate all the support, all the love. And if there's anything in particular that you guys would like for us to cover, I am always open to hearing your perspective. We have all our handles down below. So if you want to follow us on TikTok, on Facebook, Instagram, you name it, please don't be shy. I am sending you much love. Thank you so much again, and I will see you on the next one.